Sports stars are often regarded as demigods, but every one of them has their own unique success story. And LeBron James' path to the heights of his career is simply incredible. Watch this video to find out how a boy raised on welfare became an NBA star, and how his troublesome childhood still influences his everyday life.
No matter if you came from the top of the top or you come from the bottom of the bottom, you still have a road to travel.
A nomadic childhood. LeBron's mother, Gloria, was only 16 when she gave birth to the future basketball champion. Gloria went back to school while her mother and grandmother watched LeBron. Sadly, both women died when the boy was still a toddler, and his family's stability disintegrated. His mom couldn't even afford to pay for the heating, so the city shut it off. Fortunately, a neighbor invited Gloria and then 3-year-old LeBron to live with her, and this is how LeBron's nomadic lifestyle began. The Jameses lived with their neighbor for a few months, then bounced between Gloria's other friends and family, moving every few months from one apartment to the next.
Mother said it was time to go. Packed my little book bag and it was time to roll.
The next 6 years were tough. I saw drugs, guns, killings. It was crazy, LeBron later recalled, but my mom kept food in my mouth and clothes on my back. Gloria had odd jobs, but was living on welfare most of the time. LeBron was often left unsupervised. In 4th grade, James missed almost 100 out of 162 days of school, and he definitely didn't know at the time that his life was about to change. The turning point. One day, when LeBron was playing sandlot football with some of his friends, he was spotted by a football coach, Bruce Kelker. Kelker thought that the boy had a talent for sports, so he personally picked James up every afternoon and took him to practice. But James still moved around a lot. Coach Kelker wanted more stability for his new star, so 2 weeks into the season, he invited LeBron and his mother to live with him. Gloria volunteered to become the team mother instead of paying the league participation fee, and so the pieces of LeBron's chaotic life slowly began to fall into place. Amazingly, the boy who had never played organized sport before scored 17 touchdowns during his first season on the team. But soon, parents involved in the league started complaining that James was too big and too fast to be the age he claimed he was. Then, Coach Kelker suggested that his friend, Frankie Walker, take a look at the boy as a basketball player. It was the second time a coach took James into his home, and the Walkers and their 3 children became something more for young LeBron, a real family. Frankie made sure James was going to school and doing his homework before practicing basketball, which was the in-season sport then. And while the boy excelled on the basketball court, he also achieved significant success playing football for his school team.
I've been playing football since I was 9 and basketball. I just started playing sports since I was 9.
He was even named #1 football prospect in Ohio. So why did King James quit the sport that promised him a college scholarship? An injury that changed everything. With time, it was becoming quite clear that LeBron had a bright future ahead of him on the basketball court, yet many were surprised when he chose not to continue his football career. What might have led to this decision was probably his wrist injury. Right between his junior and senior seasons, James fell hard during an AAU game and broke his left wrist. This was no minor injury. The recovery took 8 weeks and provided James with plenty of time to think about his future. And although initially LeBron used to love the gridiron more than the hardwood, by his senior year, he had decided to concentrate solely on basketball, which was definitely a smart decision.
Basketball court for me is like a house for me. You know, when you're in your house, you're comfortable.
When James was in high school, a local newspaper article referred to LeBron as King James, and the nickname stuck. Soon, Sports Illustrated magazine crowned him the Chosen One. Aged only 18, James signed a $93 million deal with Nike, and for the first time in their lives, he and his mother had their own apartment. Since then, LeBron has been regarded as basketball's next great hope. He skipped a step on the traditional route to the NBA, going professional straight out of high school rather than using college basketball as a stepping stone. But that same year, he learned some news that endangered all his future endeavors. Troubled family history repeating itself. LeBron's high school years were not all sports and studies, though. During his senior year, he met his one true love, 16-year-old Savannah. As she revealed later, she had no idea about LeBron's basketball talent. So she was really impressed when she first saw him play and found out how popular he was. However, even then, Savannah never imagined that her high school sweetheart would become the king of the NBA. I just thought he'd be a hometown hero for his era and it would be over. But James kept rising in the sports world. In 2003, he graduated high school and was the #1 overall pick at the NBA draft. And that was also the year that Savannah became pregnant with their first child. She was still in high school, and her initial reaction was fear. Much to her relief, the NBA rookie didn't even flinch. "It's not going to slow me down, and it's not going to slow you down," he assured Savannah. "We're going to keep doing what we have to do." The next year, she gave birth to LeBron James Jr., affectionately called Bronny. The couple stuck together and, just as promised, his growing family didn't hinder James's meteoric rise through the NBA. 3 years later, they welcomed another boy, and later, in 2014, a daughter. But it took a decade for LeBron to go down on one knee and propose to his high school sweetheart. Surprisingly, despite all the preparations for this big move, he was super nervous.
It felt like before a finals game.
Yeah.
Reminiscing on the day of their wedding, the athlete wrote in an Instagram post, "When you have someone that's always there for you no matter the ups and downs in life, it makes it all worth living for. So happy to call you Mrs. Savannah James." But if you're impressed with what LeBron does on the court, keep watching to learn what amazing things he does beyond basketball. Giving back to the community. As of 2021, James's net worth is estimated to be $500 million. Moreover, he's already on the way to becoming a billionaire next year. All this has allowed LeBron to give his 3 children everything he was denied when he was younger. He loves them unconditionally and supports their activities. Both boys have a keen interest in basketball. The eldest, Bronny, is even expected to be part of the 2023 NBA draft. LeBron often shares his son's successes with fans on social media, whether it's attending one of their games or showing off the similarities between him and his boys. And he's also not shy to call his only daughter, Zuri, the greatest thing in his life. But the 4-time NBA champion and 2-time Olympic gold medalist has never forgotten where he came from. "My relationship with Northeast Ohio is bigger than basketball," James shared once. "People there have seen me grow up. I sometimes feel like I'm their son." Moreover, he feels an obligation to help his hometown, Akron, whenever he can. LeBron particularly strives to help underprivileged children, since he came from humble beginnings himself. Over the years, the LeBron James Family Foundation has given more than $2 million to the school he graduated from. The foundation also raises and donates money for several other charities, but his biggest contribution to date is the I Promise School for children at risk of falling behind.
Being in the community, giving back to my community in some way, but I never thought that it would turn into a school, but this is above and beyond.
This school is aimed at guiding underprivileged kids, and the sportsman calls it the most important project of his career. The NBA star remembers his childhood experience, and he has vowed to help children with similar backgrounds by offering them the support and care he never had when he was growing up. The LeBron James Family Foundation has also donated more than $40 million of scholarship money to University of Akron students. And that's definitely not the only time LeBron has invested in the charity project, both financially and personally. In a way, he hopes his involvement in Space Jam 2 will also do more than just entertain, as the original movie inspired millions of kids to pick up a basketball. So grab your friends and go watch the movie. And we bet that now, knowing King James's story, you'll find some serious underlying messages. Until next time, stay awesome.